Speaking of, do you want to just move on to our next topic, the Knicks deadline? We're talking about Zach LaVine already. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fitting. Yeah,
Right?
we're in 2022. It's time to start to talk about the deadline a little bit because we know what some of these teams are. Some teams have a boatload of assets, and some teams are the Timberwolves. So we'll see. What do you guys think about the Knicks deadline? I'm going to ask Charleston because he seems very skittish about this topic.
Trade everything besides Randle, Brunson, and Barrett for as much good players as you can get. I don't really like seeing Obi Toppin play. He's hurt right now, but he's just not a fit with this Knicks roster. I think Mitchell Robinson is not a fit with this Knicks roster. I like their backup center, Isaiah Hardenstein and Jonathan Sims more than Jonathan Sims, right? That's his name.
Which player?
Jericho Sims.
Jericho Sims. Sims.
Yeah.
I like watching Hardenstein.
How about Jonathan Simmons? And I'm like, he's been out of the league forever.
No. Jericho Sims, the guy who bangs his head on the rim all the time.
Oh yeah, Heisberg on the NBA almost.
Texas guy. Yep.
I like seeing them play center more than I like Mitchell Robinson. I think Emmanuel Quickly, McBride, and Quentin Grimes are great young players, but this Knicks team is ready to compete. I think they need to make that push to get to the next level. They did it earlier this year with the Jalen Brunson deal, which now is looking like a steal for some reason. RJ Barrett's playing the best he can. I know how you feel about RJ. You know how I feel.
I told you he would have a 10-game insanity run, and I said, don't fall for the trap. I told you that. And then look what's happening.
Julius Randle's having the second best year of his career, and he's been
true. I'll give you that.
I think it's time you make a deal for Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine would be an awesome fit. I like Markelle Fultz as a backup point guard. Jonathan Isaac, if he can finally get fucking healthy, would be a great piece. Terrence Ross, great piece. There's a lot of just I want to call them floaters in the NBA, guys that move from team to team. Robert Covington is my favorite example, is a guy who just comes off your bench. He plays very good defense, shoots threes. He is what he is, you know what I mean? And I think the Knicks need to trade for as many of those as possible and kind of lose some of the stuff they have. Like Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier make a combined $30 million right now, and they sit on the bench all game.
Yeah, Derrick Rose has to go.
Oh yeah, for sure. Send him back to the Bulls.
Send him back to the Bulls.
Charleston, you might be cooking. We'll see.
They got so many firsts too. They have 2 Dallas picks, a Washington pick, 2 Dallas picks.
Yeah, Chicago.
5 Knicks picks.
They have a Detroit pick sitting there somewhere.
They do. They have a
lot. They had a lot from the Ousmane Dieng trade in the draft. They have OKC.
Mm-hmm.
They have so much fucking shit. You might as well get rid of some of it for a guy like Zach LaVine, who, in my opinion, could raise their ceiling to a team that is on par with the Cavs, Nets, Bucks, and maybe Celtics.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up their draft capital because I think they have the 3rd most first round picks in the next 6 or 7 years or whatever it is, behind the Jazz and the Thunder. So they have a ton of assets here, and Charleston brought up as well. A lot of they got a plethora of young guys that maybe don't fit there fully right now, but you can get value with somewhere else. So this is a really good deadline for them to maybe attack something. Maybe you go for a LaVine or some in that Bulls squad. Maybe you do minor moves, but at some point you'd expect this massive market to unload all their capital. We thought they could do that for Donovan Mitchell, but they didn't. They're gonna do it at some point. Maybe it's this deadline for somebody like LaVine, or maybe it's in this off season. But I think at some point they're going to unload it because that's that. The owners they're going to make so much money if they do something like that and they become maybe a contender. And yeah, they have so much capital right now.
Ready?
Yeah, and I have one of my boys who's a diehard Knicks fan, and I feel bad. I'm a Celtics fan, and I want this team to be good. I've been wanting them to be good for a while, and they just, they always microwaving the progress. and it's like you never get through a rebuild. For a while, you were but in my era of basketball, a destination, but you always got a Carmelo, but never had enough around him. And now you have this team. You got, Brunson, who, his turn. When I see Brunson, bro, he reminds me so much of the IT that we had on the Celtics that have been overlooked and eventually got, to become a legit option for a team. And this dude's cold-blooded. I think, in a playoff run, this dude could give you 26, 27. Like, he's a perfect piece on this squad. And for a while I've been saying, blow this up. What are you doing? It's like, Barrett he's not good enough to carry you, and they were hoping he turns into that piece. Now you kind of know he's not gonna be that piece. Julius Randle, bro, you can count on this dude to give you 20, 10, and 4. Even if you have another big piece. But so because of all the draft capital, because of all the children, but you have all your money invested into these dudes where their window is now. Julius Randle, Brunson, 26, 27, 28. If this is what you're building around, then like you guys said, throw all the chips on the table. You know what I mean? Like, could I add a cartel? Could I get, throw in all these draft capitals, all these children at the Wizards and add Brad Beal and Porzingis? Would that make them interesting with the way Porzingis is playing? Where you have maybe a 2-3 year window with Porzingis at the thick of his prime, next to a Julius Randolph, with a Brunson, with a Brad Beal. That's a team that you could tell me they could beat the Celtics, they could beat the Bucks. You know what I mean? Like, that's a team with a ton of balance. You know what I mean? So I feel like they have the capital to pull that off. So I don't think a Zach LaVine puts you there. Not alone. You need another piece. I think that this is why I thought of the Wizards, because what are the Wizards doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to make a move at some point, and the Knicks are star hunting. Brad Beal is now. You're looking at that contract, and you're like, dang, like, with what he gives you, you know what I mean? Like, the Knicks have enough to add those two pieces, and I will say they could come out the East, with a roster like that.
I know this is like 3 minutes ago. I'd want to be an instigator here, which means I want to be an instigator here. He just totally called out RJ Barrett, Charleston. How are you going to take that?
I'm perfectly content to allow the RJ Barrett hate to continue, and I'll let his statistics do the talking for me.
I know the 19 points at 42%, man. Ooh.
No. The Knicks are just something to throw out there real fast. The Knicks are currently top 10 in offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating. And some notable teams are actually behind them in net rating, like the Milwaukee Bucks, the Dallas Mavericks, the Utah Jazz, James's Clippers, the Warriors.
Don't ever associate me with the Clippers, man. Don't associate me with the Timberwolves either, man. Just associate me as an independent man.
But no, I think the Knicks have something going here, and I think they need a little more. Whether it's Zach LaVine for that really big bag or the really gettable Kyle Kuzma for a much smaller trade package, I think Kyle Kuzma would fit really well with them at the 3 or 4. I think the Knicks need to do something, because I really hate seeing them waste. Like, they have so much shit, and they just need to offload some of it, just a little bit.
I think Freddy made a great suggestion. Like, if you're not going to get a tier 1 superstar with all those draft capital, instead of settling for a tier 2 guy, go for 2 tier 3/tier 2 guys. Like, go for multiple instead, right? I thought that was an interesting point, and I'm just totally spitballing here. But what if, like, in the summer, you put RJ Barrett, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and a boatload of draft picks, and you bring in Bradley Beal, KP, and Kuzma? Maybe that's as soon as the deadline. What if you get all 3 of them, and then you have a lineup of Jalen Brunson, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Julius Randle, and KP? That's a deep starting 5, I'll tell you that.
Nasty squad.
There's no tier 1 guy, but that is like the 2016 draft, the team of the Robins. And so, it's like, that would be fun. I still think with this Knicks team, unless that opportunity is out there, I wouldn't put all my chips in the table right now. I think regardless, there's no tier 1 guy available right now. Like, maybe that changes because the Victor sweepstakes could really change a lot. If something crazy happens, then sure, go at it. But I think likelihood suggests that won't happen. And you have all this draft picks. You don't have to go at it right now. You're not winning a title regardless. They went after a Donovan Mitchell and said he isn't good enough. That is why they didn't go for him. How mad would Knicks fans be if they decided, you know what, he was good enough. We just messed up. Let's settle for Zach LaVine. I think that would make Knicks fans call for people's heads, especially with how Donovan Mitchell is playing this year. So I think considering that they were out on a Donovan Mitchell move compared to the Cavs were, right? Like, wait until the summer until that guy shows up. If that happens, at least take a swing on it. You never know in the NBA. Some random implosion could happen. What if James Harden, I'm just spitballing, what if James Harden decided, you know what, I'm going to go and tank with Houston, and Embiid's mad all of a sudden, and then Embiid's available? Like if I'm New York, I have the time to wait for that. I got Julius Randle on a long-term contract. I got Jalen Brunson on a long-term contract. I got RJ Barrett, I guess, on a long-term contract. So, like I said, just there's no reason to go all in on the deadline right now when there's not that guy available. So might as well wait and let the NBA do something weird. Like, as a Timberwolves fan, I guess, like, I'll tell you Cat is the best thing since sliced bread and give us all of your draft picks in the summer, right? Like, I would totally manipulate the Knicks into that if I could. But, like, in reality, they have to go for that guy.